everyone, my name is Caitlin, and today I want to talk about the 1978 film The Wiz, an adaptation of the classic novel The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, starring a completely African-American cast and set in an interpretation of Oz that pulls inspiration from African-American culture. Before we get started though, check out my outfit! I'm cosplaying as a school teacher, which, if you've seen The Wiz, you know why I'm cosplaying as a school teacher, and if you haven't, then you're about to find out. Got a little hair clip in. It's very school teachery. My boyfriend says this outfit makes me look like a grandma. Now, I recently watched The Wiz for the first time, and it was recommended to me by my boyfriend, who's actually kind of on a winning streak when it comes to recommending good movies, except for Suicide Squad.
We're all gonna die.
I hope so.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
But I'm actually a big fan of the original film The Wizard of Oz, and I really enjoy The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, or at least the short version of the book that my mom bought from Walmart. So the source material is very near and dear to my heart, and I had actually heard of The Wiz before, but I had never watched it. And when he recommended it to me, I finally decided to get around to giving it a watch. And I am like kicking myself for not seeing this movie sooner. It's really good, and I just kind of want to talk about it because it's arguably one of the most intriguing films I've ever seen. This film is just so unique, and I just want to talk about it because I really enjoyed it. Despite having like incredible sets and a stacked cast and amazing acting, dancing, and singing performances, the film was a commercial flop. Which begs the question, why did people hate The Wiz? So before we talk about the film's reception, I want to give you a rundown of the film itself. The Wiz follows Dorothy, a 24-year-old school teacher, who's afraid of going out into the world and experiencing life. And during a snowstorm, Dorothy's dog Toto runs out into the street, causing the two of them to be swept up into the storm and transported to the world of Oz. Now, Dorothy accidentally kills the Wicked Witch of the East, which frees the munchkins she had trapped in graffiti and gives her the witch's shoes. A good witch named Miss One tells Dorothy to follow the yellow brick road to the Emerald City and see the Wiz, who has the power to send her home. Dorothy struggles to find the yellow brick road and stumbles upon Scarecrow being heckled by crows. She helps Scarecrow leave his perch, he finds the yellow brick road, and they ease on down until they run into the Tin Man. After releasing him from underneath his fourth wife, Teeny, the trio continues down the yellow brick road with nothing that might be a load, and they end up stopping at the library where they meet the Cowardly Lion. He also joins their group. In the subway, the four of them are attacked in a sequence that would have definitely given me nightmares if I saw it as a child. And once they escape the subway, we get a, in my opinion, pointless sequence, and they realize they've arrived at the Emerald City. In the Emerald City, we get arguably one of the coolest dance numbers I've ever seen in a film, and the Wiz agrees to see the four of them, but he will only grant their wishes if Dorothy kills Evillene, the Wicked Witch of the West. However, Evillene is already looking for them, and she doesn't want anyone to bring more bad news, so she sends her flying monkeys to capture the quartet. We get the scene that definitely would have made child me cry. Dorothy pulls the fire alarm, killing Evillene and saving everyone. There's a powerful dance number featuring the song Everyone Rejoice / A Brand New Day. Dorothy and the gang return to the Wiz and discover he's a fraud. Dorothy helps her friends realize that the things they were wishing for were inside them all along. Diana Ross gives us an incredible performance with the song Home. And then Dorothy returns home and the movie ends. Personally, I think The Wiz is a really fun and entertaining film, but critics don't seem to agree with that. So if film good, why critics no like? From what I've seen in reviews, the main reason why The Wiz was such a commercial failure is because it failed to live up to the original Broadway play. Now, the original play won 7 Tony Awards and was a huge success. According to some of the reviews I saw, the film deviated so much from the stage play that it lost that sparkle that made the original so successful. And these deviations can be traced back and are often traced back to director Sidney Lumet, or Lumet? and screenwriter Joel Schumacher. Personally, I place the blame more on Schumacher, and that's because when he wrote the script, he incorporated a lot of the teachings of Werner Erhard, who was a popular self-help guru at the time. And in my opinion, the usage of Erhard's self-help ideologies took away from the core messages of The Wiz. Because if we look at the soundtrack, which was created by African American men and done in genres of music that originated in their community, there are themes of racial inequality, systematic oppression, and the unique experience of the Black community in America. But if we look at just the screenplay, so like looking at just the speaking parts in the film, it has a more self-actualization tone to it, which could definitely tie back into the soundtrack's theme. And unfortunately, the two never seem to meet back into each other. So the songs and the normal scenes feel a little disconnected, I guess, with one side kind of speaking onto the unique African-American experience and the other side speaking on the individual's ability to recognize their own potential. One of the other big issues that critics had with the film is Diana Ross's portrayal of Dorothy. Many believe she was too old to play Dorothy, even though the character was aged up to 24. But in my opinion, I actually really liked Ross's portrayal of Dorothy. I feel like the character was almost relatable in a sense. A lot of people considered her interpretation too nervous and not innocent enough. I feel like the Dorothy in the film has a pretty realistic portrayal of being dropped in the middle of this crazy world. I mean, as a character, she is someone who is afraid of feeling and afraid because she doesn't understand feelings.
Don't know what I'm made of. Why am I afraid of feeling?
You know, she doesn't want change, she likes stability, and being transported into Oz quite literally takes her out of the sandbox. So I feel like the portrayal is a little bit realistic. Obviously the film isn't perfect. It has its issues. The script is a bit of an issue, and I'll agree that the pacing can be kind of slow at times. But I've kind of noticed a lot of the film's negative criticism comes from a certain demographic. White men. For example, David Kerr?
That's some bullshit.
If you're looking for a critical take on The Wiz that's from a perspective that's not old and white, I would recommend reading Garrick Kennedy's LA Times article. It speaks about the Black community's reaction to and affection for The Wiz and how it's remained an important piece of African American pop culture. I'm actually going to be pulling quotes from that article throughout the rest of this video, so just a heads up. The intriguing world of The Wiz. It's time to talk about why I really like this film, because I need an outlet to talk about how cool it is. And after discussing the film's shortcomings, I think it's only fair to tell you about some of the reasons why this film is so good. Aside from the iconic cast, The Wiz actually has a lot going for it. Starting with the set design. Blending fantastical elements with the modern New York landscape, the sets of The Wiz create a world that is both familiar and alien to its audience. My favorite set is the Munchkinland set. Munchkinland is a child's dream and nightmare wrapped into one. A huge playground decorated with graffiti. The entire set is both drab and lively, with the grays of a big city and the colors of its inhabitants' art mixing together. It creates the perfect stage for the Munchkin dance number, which features choreography that incorporates children's toys into the dance in a really fun way. And when Dorothy first arrives in Oz and like all the munchkins kind of like come out of the graffiti, like it's really creepy, but I really love that moment. And another one of my favorite things about the film is the costumes. I think the costumes in The Wiz are way cooler than the ones in the original. Specifically the Tin Man costume. I just really love that like hodgepodge design that he has. It's way more fun to look at than like the grain silo, the grain silo look of the Wizard of Oz. But the Tin Man is really the beginning of these cool character designs. But a lot of the really impressive costuming work goes towards the dancers. I think the Winkies costumes are the coolest, mainly because of the reveal during the Everyone Rejoice / Brand New Day dance sequence. Leading up to that sequence, I had assumed that the Winkies were like these humanoid creatures. Like, they look very... Insert picture now. They look really... I don't know how to describe them. They kind of look like the messed up creatures from the first Spy Kids film. And during that dance sequence, there's actually a reveal that these costumes are costumes and underneath them are like normal people. I was not only like really surprised when that happened, but I thought it was a very powerful moment in the film. You know, and this entire sequence is a great example of how the film and stage play use the Oz to represent the real life experience of the African American community. And I want to quote Kennedy's article here. The original stage production uses Dorothy's journey home from the land of Oz to explore slavery, emancipation, the Great Migration, and faith. The film updates it to a post-civil rights era. But the most important aspect of The Wiz is the music. The Wiz's soundtrack was almost entirely written by composer and songwriter Charlie Smalls. Charlie won a Tony for his work on the original stage play's music, while Quincy Jones, iconic record producer, worked as the music supervisor for the film. As mentioned earlier, the songs are all in genres that originated within the Black community. The music, to quote Kennedy again, the music weaved together gospel, blues, soul, and R&B, genres that are unequivocally Black creations and were narratives of the Black experience, an especially bold move given Hollywood's monochromatic palette. Now, I love all of the songs, although I do have my favorites. You Can't Win, which was made for the film. It's not in the original stage play, although when they did The Wiz live a couple years ago, they included it, even though that TV performance was closer to the stage play. The Emerald City sequence is also insanely cool. Everyone Rejoice / A Brand New Day, and of course, Ease on Down the Road. So why did people hate The Wiz? Now, while the film does have issues, it's definitely not perfect. I don't think it deserves the disdain that critics at the time seemed to have for it. You know, and after looking into things a little bit, I kind of noticed a bit of a pattern when it comes to the negative criticisms of the film. You know, now the critics who kind of really eviscerated The Wiz are all... White men have dominated every aspect of the film industry since forever, basically. And they continue to dominate the industry. So the fact that most, if not all, of the critics of this film are white dudes is not really a surprise to anybody. However, some of the negative criticism directed towards The Wiz by these white male critics seem to stem not from the film being bad, but from their own lack of understanding, to put it simply. That is, these men didn't like The Wiz not because it's a bad film, but because The Wiz doesn't speak to their experiences. The Wiz wasn't made for them. It doesn't reference back to their cultural experiences, so they don't really understand it. And I'm not really articulating this very well, so I wanted to use this TikTok that I saw. It's about a white critic's review of Isaiah Rashad's recent album, but I feel like the overall message applies to The Wiz's situation.
Hi, my name is Pablo, and y'all, we have time to talk about this Anthony Fantano situation. Now, if you didn't see, Anthony gave Isaiah Rashad a 5 on his review of The House is Burning. So Isaiah responded in a Twitter comment saying that Anthony didn't find the album experimental enough and that he didn't pick up on any of the black culture references. Honestly, I really don't know what to tell y'all. If you're a person who's looking for reviews on hip-hop and the first person you go to is a white person who reviews all types of music, then you're gonna get what you're gonna get. There are far too many black people who critique and analyze music for y'all to be going to a white person for a hip-hop review, honestly. And that's no shade to Anthony. I think he's a great critic. And the truth is, he was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. If he doesn't review Isaiah Rashad, y'all are gonna call him racist. If he reviews it and gives it less than an 8, then he's also racist because he doesn't understand black culture references. So y'all tell me what he was supposed to do. I just feel like if you want some hip-hop reviews, go to black reviewers.
This has been my video about The Wiz. It's a really interesting film, and I totally recommend that you watch it. It definitely is the type of movie that I would have been obsessed with if I saw it as a kid. Strange and cool with this like incredible music and dancing and like weird character design, and yeah, I would have been all over this if I saw it as a kid. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please check out The Wiz. It's available like to watch for free on Peacock, which is where I watched it. I have their free subscription. I got it to watch The Secretary.
Put your elbows on the desk. Bend over. Get your face close to the letter and read it aloud.
Dear Mr. Garvey, I'm grateful to you for referring...
We're not here to talk about that movie. Let's not talk about that movie. Okay, let's move on. Check out The Wiz. It's really good. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you whenever I see you next. I turned my lights on. My boyfriend just put these up for me yesterday. Get it! Hold up. They're like, kick. I give up.